Tonight on News 5 Live, former Court of Appeal Judge Samuel Awich takes SSP and Attorney General to court. The redistricting exercise seeks to expand the number of constituencies across the country. Both mass parties are expected to discuss the proposed changes in the days ahead. And DFC earns regional recognition for loans to micro-enterprises. These stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
Desde las áreas urbanas hasta las comunidades rurales, la conexión importa. El acceso a Internet es crucial para continuar el desarrollo social y económico. Es por eso que Digi, nuestra telecomunicación nacional, continúa invirtiendo millones de dólares para expandir sus redes de telefonía móvil y fibra óptica en todo Belice. Miles de usuarios móviles y viviendas, especialmente a lo largo de las carreteras y en comunidades rurales, ahora disfrutan de los beneficios de la infraestructura resiliente de Digi. Nuestra telecomunicación nacional continúa liderando la transformación digital a través de su tecnología avanzada y compromiso a la excelencia. Con Digi Wallet, beliceños en áreas urbanas y rurales tienen acceso fácil y seguro a una amplia variedad de servicios financieros a través de sus dispositivos móviles. Y con el reciente lanzamiento de Digi TV, nuestra telecomunicación nacional se ha convertido en el único proveedor de servicios de reproducción cuádruple en Belice. Clientes ahora pueden ahorrar con nuestros paquetes DigiOne que ofrecen internet residencial, servicios móviles, teléfono residencial y servicios DigiTV convenientemente en un solo lugar. Digi permanece comprometido en brindar acceso a servicios de alta calidad, confiables y accesibles y crear oportunidades para un mejor futuro. Forme parte de la transformación y viva la conectividad como nunca antes. Porque con Digi, la conexión importa.
Watch The Truth of God with Pastor Gino Jennings of the First Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. exclusively on Channel 5 Belize. The Truth of God with Pastor Gino Jennings every Sunday at 8 a.m. on Channel 5 Belize.
My Social Security. Your direct online access to all your Social Security information. 360 view of all your Social Security information. Registration services, benefits, contributions, and employer services at your fingertips. Enjoy all the new features with your My Social Security account. Register with SSB. Submission of benefit claims. Submission of contribution statements. View contribution record. Enjoy all your My Social Security feature at ssbportal.org.bz. Social Security at your fingertips.
Here's your chance. The stage is waiting. We're looking for talented Belizean singers for another season of KTV The Remix. KTV auditions will take place on Saturday, June 3rd and Sunday, June 11th, starting at 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at Channel 5 on Coney Drive in Belize City. We're also now accepting online submissions. 2-minute videos can be emailed to producer at channel5belize.com or DM KTV Remix on Facebook. Deadline, Sunday, June 11th at 5 p.m. Come be a part of the biggest singing competition of the year. KTV The Remix, only on Channel 5.
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Friday, June 2nd. I am Anwin Apolonio. Former Justice of Appeals Samuel Awich has filed a claim against the Social Security Board and the Attorney General of Belize to the tune of $600,000. which served in the judiciary from 2001 to 2022 when he retired from the bench. During his 20 years of service, the judge earned less than $2.5 million in salary. He was entitled to 10% of that sum, or $249,000, as retirement benefits from the Social Security Board. Well, he claims that SSB has failed to pay him. He brought a claim against the Attorney General of Belize for the same amount in the event that the court does not make an order against SSB to make the payment. According to the claim, which inquired upon retirement and was informed that contributions to SSB may not have been made at all over his 20 years of service, which made a third claim against the AG for an additional $100,000 in severance pay that he asserts has not been paid to him. So all three claims in total amount to just about $600,000. And today we got a chance to speak with Attorney General Magali Marin Young, who told us that the records show that the former Justice of Appeals has been paid.
Claim is for the retirement benefits provided for under the Social Security laws, and another part of the claim is for retirement benefits under the Labor Act. Now, in terms of the Social Security portion of it, I'm sure Social Security will get its own legal representation, but from my briefing from the Registrar of the High Court, all his Social Security contributions have been made, and we don't know if he has even submitted a form or the claim form that Social Security uses for you to claim the lump sum or the monthly retirement benefit that is provided to retirees. In relation to the other portion, in my briefing from the Registrar of the High Court, my understanding is all his gratuity payments have been made. Now, Justice Awich was appointed to the Court of Appeal, and his employment was governed by a written contract. The registrar informed me that the gratuity has been paid. 4 first-class tickets to Uganda to relocate him and his family have been paid up. So we're at a loss as to what additional sums he believes he's entitled to.
The Attorney General says that she doesn't know what to make of the former justice's claim. Back in 2014, the People's United Party and the Bar Association raised several objections to the reappointment of Justice Awich to the Court of Appeal. 2 claimants brought a claim for his removal before the Supreme Court. That matter was heard by the Caribbean Court of Justice. More recently, it was brought before the Belize Advisory Council. By that time, however, the former justice had already retired. AG Marin explained that if Awich's claim has any merit, then the matter before the Belize Advisory Council will become a live issue.
I find it rather strange that this claim was filed, because if what the registrar is saying is true, I don't see that he is legally entitled to anything over and beyond his contract. So, but you know what the claim does, there is a history in regards to Justice Awich. And Justice Awich, as you know, was appointed by the previous administration to the Court of Appeal. He had sat prior to that appointment in the High Court, or what was then the Supreme Court. And he had a history of delay in delivery of judgments. And so when he was appointed, the bar had opposed his appointment because of his history of delay. Nonetheless, he was appointed, and during his tenure as a Justice of Appeal, there were 2 claimants in the Supreme Court who had brought a claim for his removal. They had submitted a claim for his removal before the Judicial and Legal Services Commission. And the Judicial and Legal Services Commission initially dismissed that matter. The parties nonetheless felt very strongly about it and went all the way to the Caribbean Court of Justice, and the Caribbean Court of Justice sent the matter back to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission for it to consider whether there was a prima facie case to refer to the Belize Advisory Council. They have now, since it being sent back, referred the matter to Belize Advisory Council. So if his case has any merit at all, we will have to also deal with the matter before Belize Advisory Council, because that becomes a live issue.
The Attorney General is currently conducting consultations to introduce new regulations, that is, and legislation for the Magistrates' Court. Last year, the government of Belize enacted the Senior Courts Act that addressed reforms to the Senior Court. An exercise is underway to modernize the legislation for lower court judges and introduce reforms. The Magistrates' Court is governed by 5 acts that will be amalgamated. The consultation includes meetings with magistrates, prosecutors, private attorneys, and the business community, to name a few. AG Marin Young spoke with us about the process.
We will be amalgamating, consolidating all 5 pieces of legislation that govern the magistrates. We also intend to formally name the court Magistrate Court. Most of us know that court as Magistrate Court. Under the Constitution, it's not referred to as the Magistrates Court. It's referred to as the Summary Procedure Court and the District Court. The Family Court is not formally recognized under the Constitution, but it's a Magistrate Court. So we will also be that court will be Magistrate Court Family Division. Some of the reforms, we intend to modernize the language. The old pieces of legislation dating back to pre-independence, some of it 1953, use antiquated language, beast. We don't refer to animals anymore as beasts. Crier, we don't have a court crier. We have bailiffs and marshals that go, but we don't have a quote-unquote guilty pleas. There should be no need for you to show up in court if you are prepared to sign a form to say that you're guilty. Less traffic through the court, less waste of time waiting for the matter to call up just to do what you could do by paper. So there's all of these reforms, all geared towards making that court efficient.
Portico Enterprises Limited has fired off a press release to set the record straight following allegations of corruption regarding the definitive agreement entered into with the government of Belize. As we have reported, the leader of the opposition wrote to the Ombudsman requesting an investigation into the Prime Minister for corruption in relation to that contract. Portico Enterprises Limited, in its release, says that it is regrettable that the opposition leader's request to the Ombudsman is, quote, rife with mendacious, frivolous, and defamatory statements, unquote. The company began by clarifying that it has purchased in excess of 1,000 acres of land for the development of Port Magical Belize. According to Portico, none of these lands belong to Ambassador Haissam Diab. Portico Enterprise Limited also dropped a bombshell on UDP Senator Michael Perfit. According to the release, Morales Perfit LLP drafted and negotiated the definitive agreement with the government. Portico Enterprise Limited says Morales Perfit LLOP not only assisted Portico with its applications for the various permits and license, but also ensured that Portico satisfied all legal requirements upon making such applications. The company further asserts that the law firm further assisted in securing the environmental compliance plan that was a necessary condition to the defensive agreement. Based on this information, Portico Enterprises Limited says it is mischievous of the opposition leader to pose as whether Courtney Koi LLP was the longtime law firm of Portico. The company also placed on record that the definitive agreement was signed on October 1st, 2020, 5 days before Parliament was dissolved. They say that since Erwin Contreras executed the definitive agreement for Harvest Key on behalf of the government of Belize, his capacity to sign and execute such document was unquestionable. As it pertains to the opposition leader's request to the Ombudsman, the Office of the Ombudsman has since responded to acknowledge receipt of the letter. The office has informed the opposition leader that it is conducting its due diligence and in due time will revert to him. Coming up, SIDEMA advises people to pay keen attention to storm advisories. Find out the details of these stories when we come back.
Hello, friends. I'm Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says in Proverbs, "A man that hath friends must show himself friendly." The Baron Bliss Lighthouse in Belize City reminds me of a lady by the name of Florence Martis, who was born in 1868. She was the unmarried sister of a lighthouse keeper in Savannah, Georgia. Day and night for 45 years, Florence would go down to the waterfront near the old lighthouse and wave a welcome to every ship entering the harbor. Sailors lined the rails to watch for the person who was always there to greet them, waving her apron in the daytime and her lantern at night. Thousands of strangers from around the world had their homesickness erased by Florence Martis, who became known as a waving girl. Because of the friendship and goodwill she shared, the city of Savannah, Georgia built a statue in her honor. Our world would be a much better place today if there were more people like Florence Martis. Why not share a little kindness with a stranger today? In so doing, you will gain friends and be a lighthouse pointing others to Christ. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
Adopting a second child was our best decision ever. Now our daughter Alexis has a little brother to play with.
Now that we have our son, our family is complete.
Contact the Department of Human Services and find out how you can become a foster or adoptive parent and be that heart of gold.
The EIA was approved on the 9th day of April 2021.
To get environmental clearance, you must provide proof of funding. Over $300 million. That's what Gegg and Sharma must show for their project. Did they submit the manatee management plan?
We know that manatees traverse along the coast. We know that they use these areas along the coast, these shallow water areas. It's unknown what a manatee would do should they stumble upon this peninsula in the near future.
Won't cruise ships so close to a manatee reserve decimate our manatee population?
Didn't get the consideration that was given, that was needed.
How did they get approval to dredge 8.5 million cubic meters?
More than the 7.5 million that was rejected for Waterloo.
How could they get approval to create an entire artificial peninsula on Belize, all the while expecting to get exemptions? 12.5% GST, 25% income tax, customs duty, stamp duty, environmental tax. Just a few of the taxes and fees the definitive agreement exempted Gegg and Sharma and their contractors from. Meanwhile, the Belizean people are taxed and taxed and taxed.
If they want to be a true partner for Belize, then it has to be in the best interest of the Belizean people.
Mr. Brusenia, how are you allowing this?
Smart introduces Real Unlimited Postpaid Plans, providing customers with unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data. Now that's a real great deal. With Smart Plus, Share 1 and 2, and Enterprise 1 and 2 plans, you can talk as much as you want, text as much as you want, and for the first time ever in Belize, you can enjoy unlimited data with your postpaid plan. So come in and sign up for an unlimited postpaid plan and enjoy limitless possibilities. In addition, other plans such as the Flex Junior, Choice, and Select have been boosted with a lot more talk, text, and data, providing you with the best value for your budget. Be unlimited with Smart. Smart, your full-service communication provider.
The next general election is about 2.5 years away, scheduled for November 2025. That is, unless the Briceño administration calls early elections. But News 5 has received information that would suggest changes to the electoral composition of the House of Representatives. In fact, we are told that the first official proposal for the realignment of electoral constituencies has been presented to political party representatives on the Elections and Boundaries Commission. It is in line with the July 17, 2023 date that was set for the redistricting report to be presented to the National Assembly. So here's what is being proposed ahead of a meeting of the Commission next Wednesday. We understand that the proposal is to increase the number of constituencies from 31 to 33. Belize District will reduce from 13 to 11 divisions, and one each will be added to Orange Walk and Stand Creek districts. The proposal is for 2 additional constituencies for the Cayo District. The redistricting process is to achieve near equal amount of electorates per division. Today, News 5 attempted to get a reaction from representatives from the major political parties, as well as the chair of the Elections and Boundaries Commission, but official comment could not be given. Here is what Chairman Oscar Sabito had to say about the process in December 2022.
Because the Constitution said that there's a necessity to, in a sense, review electoral division lines on the basis of geographical markers like rivers and roads and streets and all the other issues as to access to polling stations, transportation, which the Constitution provides. We could not do this simply by looking at geodata and doing matters of geographic information systems. Only like that, we needed an actual input and groundwork. We agreed that our deadline, our timeline of July 2023 would be the date by which we were to present to the National Assembly our report. And we are working towards that. And there was one little issue, which was that for some reason there was a proposal that we should do it by 17th of July. We could not fathom that particular proposal, but we agreed to it for the reason that 17th of July and the end of July barely makes a difference. So we agreed that we would present it by the 17th of July to the National Assembly.
As we reported on Thursday, weather forecasters are predicting an almost normal hurricane year for 2023 in terms of storm activity, despite the fact that they are also expecting an El Nino phenomenon to occur. While this often suppresses hurricane development, the extremely warm temperatures that are accompanying the El Nino this year are also conducive to storm development, as Executive Director of the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, Elizabeth Riley, warned today during a regional press conference.
The upcoming Atlantic hurricane season is expected to be active than recent years, and this is competing factors, some that suppress storm development and some that fuel it, which is driving this year's overall forecast for a near normal season. After 3 hurricane seasons with La Nina present, no scientists are predicting a high potential for El Nino to develop this summer. And you may know that El Nino can suppress Atlantic hurricane activity. El Nino's potential influence on storm development could be offset by favorable conditions local to the tropical basin. Those conditions include the potential for an above normal West African monsoon, which produces African easterly waves and seeds some of the stronger and longer lived Atlantic storms, and warmer than normal sea surface temperatures in the tropical Atlantic Ocean and Caribbean Sea, which creates more energy to fuel storm development.
Riley advised people in the Caribbean to listen to the advisories that the National Meteorological Service will give when a storm is threatening. She said that because each storm will have different characteristics from another with similar strength, paying attention to the details of the forecast can be the difference between life and death.
We are very much committed as disaster managers to making sure that, you know, we try to avoid loss of life. This is really important. Sometimes it's about perception. You know, there might be a perception that I've already gone through a category 4, a category 5 is coming. I don't think that should be too much of a bother. But what happens is that the dynamics within individual systems vary. So you do need to listen not just to what is happening with the wind, which is what is explained when you say a category 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, but it's important to listen to the National Meteorological Services on the other hazards that are coming with it. So what's happening with that rainfall? How much rainfall are we expecting? Are we going to have some kind of a storm surge that happens in addition to the rainfall? What will then that look like? So there are a lot of dynamics within the systems, and sometimes because we emphasize I shouldn't say emphasize, I should say because we tend to focus in the official categorization of cyclones on the wind hazard, there's not a lot of attention paid to the water. And the water is actually the component that causes a lot of problems for individuals. So if there's nothing else that the general public takes away from this press conference, we really want to emphasize the importance of really listening through the details of what the National Meteorological Service is saying about individual systems, understanding that every Cat 4 or every Cat 5 is not the same, and try to get a good understanding of what potentially will happen. And please heed the guidance that is given through the national services.
The Belize Electricity Limited has noted a sharp and unprecedented rise in electricity usage over the past few weeks. They say this is being caused by the unusually hot and humid weather conditions being experienced across the country. In fact, according to the utility company, the demand for electricity at certain times during the first half of this week alone has already surpassed the peak demand that had been projected for this year by over 3.5% and is expected to further increase over the next few weeks. BEL notes that the situation is complicated by the sudden unavailability of the power plant that serves as the main backup if supply is lost from Mexico. That plant is undergoing urgent maintenance. As a result, the Belize Electricity Limited says it is putting in place contingency measures to mitigate possible disruptions in the supply of electricity to customers that could occur during the remainder of this week through to next weekend. After the break, DFC currently modernizing its system to offer quicker service. We'll tell you more on that, but first, here's the weather update with data from the Belize Met Service.
The EIA was approved on the 9th day of April 2021.
To get environmental clearance, he must provide proof of funding. Over $300 million. That's what Gegg and Sharma must show for their project. Did they submit the manatee management plan?
We know that manatees traverse along the coast. We know that they use these areas along the coast, these shallow water areas. It's unknown what a manatee would do should they stumble upon this peninsula in the near future.
Won't cruise ships so close to a manatee reserve decimate our manatee population?
Didn't get the consideration that was given, that was needed.
How did they get approval to dredge 8.5 million cubic meters?
More than the 7.5 million that was rejected for Waterloo.
How could they get approval to create an entire artificial peninsula on Belize, all the while expecting to get exemptions? 12.5% GST, 25% income tax, customs duty, stamp duty, environmental tax. Just a few of the taxes and fees the definitive agreement exempted Gegg and Sharma and their contractors from. Meanwhile, the Belizean people are taxed and taxed and taxed.
If they want to be a true partner for Belize, then it has to be in the best interest of the Belizean people.
Mr. Brusenia, how are you allowing this?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
After 4 months of rolling BEBL basketball, only the cream of the crop, the final 4 teams are left standing. Betty's Belize Hurricanes, Orange Walk Running Rebels, Danbuga Dream Ballers, and San Pedro Tiger Sharks. And now comes the playoffs.
Y'all ready for this?
Let's go. Around. The playoffs are here. The playoffs are finally here. The Belize Civic Center will be the rendezvous for you this Friday, June 2, as your favorite city team and 2-time BEBL champion, Betty's Belize Hurricanes. The only city team left to defend the commercial capital will start their championship journey against their arch rivals, the Danbuga Dream Ballers, in a battle dubbed as Dreaming Nightmares for Griga. Dream, dream, dream. Belize District, it gets no bigger than this, where your Hurricane boys, led by the energetic Chris Fraser, Yancy Cooper Lopez, Victor Vito Evans, Jamel Harris, and Kirk Shabba-Smith Jr. face off against the Danbuga Dream Ballers, led by their giant center, Dominic Woodson, Devon Campbell, and Edgar Boogie Mitchell. We all know Dream Ballers no like Canes, and Canes definitely no like Dream Ballers.
Them no like me, I mean I like them.
Who will draw first blood? Who will take game 1 of this best of 3 series? Bring out the entire family this Friday night of June 2. The halftime show will feature the Betty's $4,000 half-court shot, cell phones and tablet giveaways from Smart and Cellular World.
Hurricanes are one big family.
The after party will be at Thirsty Thursdays. Sponsors.
Yo, respect the city. Love the game. Family. Belize Hurricanes. Hurricanes are one big family.
What's up, guys? Saw Daddy here, back with some Father's Day awesomeness. So for all you want to be Saw Daddies, or you just want to get a gift for Dad, Brothers A Bet has some mind-blowing deals on power tools, hand tools, and more. Spoil those super handy dads with top-notch brands like Skill, Black & Decker, Stanley, DeWalt, Bosch, at a ridiculous 15% off all month long. Plus, with every gallon of Berger paint you buy, get your dad a chance to win $100 every week. And some lucky super handy dad will win $1,000. A big thank you to Brothers A Bet for sponsoring this video. Guys, go out there and get those tools because they're flying off the shelves. Happy Father's Day to all my super dads out there. like, subscribe. Saw Daddy out.
Smart introduces Real Unlimited Postpaid Plans, providing customers with unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data. Now that's a real great deal. With Smart Plus, Share 1 and 2, and Enterprise 1 and 2 plans, you can talk as much as you want, text as much as you want, and for the first time ever in Belize, you can enjoy unlimited data with your postpaid plan. So come in and sign up for an unlimited postpaid plan and enjoy limitless possibilities. In addition, other plans such as the Flex Junior, Choice, and Select have been boosted with a lot more talk, text, and data, providing you with the best value for your budget. Be unlimited with Smart. It's time to power your dollar with Smart.
The Development Finance Corporation, DFC, has won a regional award for its loan offering in a category of services that it has not been known for. The lending institution snagged the Association of Latin American and Development Bank Supporting Award for Women Entrepreneurs. The winning product is the Empowered Business Loan for Women and Youths. Established in September 1963, DFC is the region's only development bank. It offers microsector enterprise loans, home loans, student loans, productive sector loans, and since 2016, renewable energy and energy efficiency loans for businesses. But while it has been around for decades, the bank has never entered the competition until now, as its chairman, Henry Anderson, and its chief lending officer, Chaneli Renault, informed today from Honduras, where they went to receive the award.
Over the past 2 years, right, since the beginning of 2021, the DFC has been working to modernize the products it offers to the Belizean public. And as part of that initiative to modernize the business, 2 products were launched. One of those products, my colleague will talk about, won a regional award yesterday at the 53rd Assembly of ALIDE. ALIDE is the Association of Latin American and Development Banks. So it's everything from Mexico to Argentina and the entire Caribbean. So essentially, we developed a product that targets women and, at any age and young men, and they have recognized the innovation in that.
We were tasked with basically coming up with this. It was an intense process in terms of the documentation required and information that they were asking for. But nonetheless, we were able to put something together. It was due Easter Monday, to be honest, so we worked on it all Easter to see how we can showcase what the DFC has, especially as it pertains to the product that is very innovative. It's been in place since 2021, and DFC is the only bank, I believe, that has a gender equity policy and action plan in place, but that is not being showcased, that is not known. So based on that fact, we decided, you know what, let's put this together, which we were able to do, and hence the reason we entered the competition and subsequently got news about 2 weeks ago that DFC actually won the award.
Renault explained that the bank is currently digitalizing and modernizing its entire system to speed up the turnaround for business transactions and to keep up with the changing times. Not only that, the bank is also doing product development so that when it applies, it can receive Green Climate Fund's accreditation.
One of the things that people can look out for is more customer-centric approach as services more quicker, response time more rapidly. But in addition to that, we are actually working with the IDP. We're doing some product development. So we have some innovation. One of our biggest things in the pipeline is DFC applying for the GCF accreditation. Now that is huge for Belize because at the end of the day, what the accreditation will do is for us to focus on climate resilience, which is one of our main strategic thrusts. But at the same time, it will give us more affordable funding to lend to the Belizean public for projects that would help us to save our country, save Belize, and reduce the emission as it pertains to carbon dioxide.
Beginning on Thursday, a second cohort of tour guides will be engaged in a Train the Trainers course hosted by the Belize Tourism Board. It is being held at the IT Vet Conference Room in Belize City and is building the capacity of 15 persons from across the country. The topics discussed are contained in the manual that was created by the BTB on effective tour guide, history and culture of Belize, the world of Maya, and field experience delivery. Today, News 5 spoke with the Director of Quality Management, Capacity Development and Cruise, Abil Castaneda, about the objective of the 3-day training.
The Belize Tourism Board is hosting a 3-day training for new trainers to be able to train our incoming tour guides. Every year we have a cadre of new tour guides that are trained across the country. And so we want to be able to make the trainings much more accessible, but to do that you need trainers. And so over the next 3 days, starting yesterday, we started a cohort of about 15 trainers that had already begun their training before COVID, but now we are bringing them back to finish up their courses so that they can eventually become a certified trainer with the Belize Tourism Board. And with that, we would have a much expanded base that we can access for trainings across the country. Recently, we did we've begun an update of our training manual. We're doing it chapter by chapter. So we did one recently on the marine ecology with a regional partner that we have. But we actually about 2 or 3 weeks ago did a refresher course for our current trainers. And that is something that we hope that if not every year, every other year, we can bring in our trainers back in to have a refresher course. But also what we did, we brought in some experts in marine ecology, for instance, to provide what's happening right now in that particular sector. So we want to do the same thing for archaeology and for other areas that are focused on in the training manual.
July is quickly approaching, and that means that tour guides are gearing up to have their licenses renewed. It expires annually at the end of July, and this year the BTB has embarked on a campaign to take this service into the community. The tour guide licensing renewal clinic began earlier this week and will continue through to the end of the month, where licensing officers will be at a community near you to process your payments and issue licenses within minutes. Director Abil Castaneda says that there are over 2,100 registered tour guides in Belize.
Every year, July, the end of July, the tour guide licenses expire, right? You get a license for a year, just like your driver license and all that. So this year we started a new initiative. We're very excited about it. We're trying it out. Renewal clinics. So instead of the tour guide, usually the process is that the tour guide would come, would email the BTB with their application and all documents that they need to submit, and then they would wait for that to be processed and vetted, and then they have to pay their fee, and then they get the license. This year we are trying out a new way. We're going to them at their destination, and if they bring in all their documents, hard copy for us or electronically, and they make their payment, they can get their license right there in their hands. And in fact, yesterday we were having tour guides getting their license within 5 to 10 minutes. And they were very happy, they have been very appreciative, so it has so far been a success.
If you are a tour guide and would like to get this facilitated process, the licensing clinic will be on Monday at the Sagebrush Church in San Pedro. On June 15th, the clinic will be at the House of Culture in Belize City and then at the Gala Lounge in Orange Walk on June 19th. In Dangriga, June 29th is the date scheduled for the clinic, which will be held at Pelican Beach Conference Room. When we return, wildlife conservationist Jeff Corwin in Belize for Sharon Matola Day.
The EIA was approved on the 9th day of April 2021.
To get environmental clearance, he must provide proof of funding. Over $300 million. That's what Gegg and Sharma must show for their project. Did they submit the manatee management plan?
We know that manatees traverse along the coast. We know that they use these areas along the coast, these shallow water areas. It's unknown what a manatee would do should they stumble upon this peninsula in the near future.
Won't cruise ships so close to a manatee reserve decimate our manatee population?
Didn't get the consideration that was given, that was needed.
How did they get approval to dredge 8.5 million cubic meters?
More than the 7.5 million that was rejected for Waterloo.
How could they get approval to create an entire artificial peninsula on Belize, all the while expecting to get exemptions? 12.5% GST, 25% income tax, customs duty, stamp duty, environmental tax. Just a few of the taxes and fees the definitive agreement exempted Gegg and Sharma and their contractors from. Meanwhile, the Belizean people are taxed and taxed and taxed.
If they want to be a true partner for Belize, then it has to be in the best interest of the Belizean people.
Mr. Brusenia, how are you allowing this?
You have been a safe driver all your life when an unavoidable accident happens. But this does not mean that your insurance premium must increase. With RF&G's Accident Forgiveness Program, safe drivers will not lose their no-claims discounts because of those minor, unavoidable accidents. For more information on RF&G's Accident Forgiveness Program, contact us at 223-5734. When it comes to motor insurance, it pays to get it right with RF&G Insurance, a Road Group company.
Tour guides, your renewal season is coming up. Please be advised that all tour guide license expires on July 31st, 2023. BTB will start accepting applications for renewal starting May 1st, 2023. Tour guides, we're asking you to apply early in order to have a new and valid license before the current one expires. To submit via email, you'll need a clear scan of each document in PDF format and properly named and labeled. Send your application with all supporting documents to tourguide@BelizeTourismBoard.org and include your full name and your tour guide license number in the subject line of the email. Remember to fill out your applications correctly, as BTB will no longer be accepting incomplete applications. Contact our licensing officers at 227-2420 and press 1 if you have any questions or concerns.
for Smart Share Plan and save big. Whether you're a small entrepreneur starting up your business, a student on a limited budget, or a family trying to save, this is the plan for you. With unlimited SMS, calls, and data, we help you save. Get up to 5 lines for as low as $30 per line monthly, only with Smart. Sign up today at any Smart showroom or sales manager countrywide. So get your business going, share more memories with friends, and be ready for the day with Smart.
With eCash, bill payment is extremely convenient, and all utility companies accept eCash payments. What's even better? You get to split bills with your roommates, siblings, or whoever you desire. Simply open your eCash app, go to Bill Pay, tap the respective utility company, enter the information, and pay the bill. Then tap the transaction made. Tap Split the Bill. Select Evenly. Send the request to who you are splitting the bill with, and get notified when they pay. Talk about making life easy and avoiding confusion. You can split the bill for restaurants, grocery stores, and for any eCash payment you make. To find your next yummy meal, hair treatment, or chill spot, simply open the app and utilize the geolocation service to see nearby businesses that accept eCash. Geolocation and bill payment make life a whole lot easier.
You may recognize him from Disney Channel's Going Wild or the Jeff Corwin Experience on Animal Planet, or even ABC's Ocean Mysteries with Jeff Corwin. But today, the American biologist is in Belize. Corwin touched down this afternoon and is a special guest for the second annual Sharon Matola Day, which takes place on Saturday to honor the founder of the Belize Zoo. Many may not have known this fun fact, but Corwin has been coming to Belize for decades. First as a lover of the environment and wildlife, but then to film in the country. News 5 caught up with Belize Zoo Director Celso Pott and Corwin at the PGIA.
Sharon Matola was a dear friend of mine. She is a pioneer in conservation. The very first television series I did, which was my series on Disney Channel, which was called Going Wild, I filmed the pilot here after I just finished my graduate work in Belize. So I had been coming to Belize since I was about, 16 years old. And then when I got my new life as a TV producer and host, I came back only for work. But the Belize Zoo, it's the world's greatest little zoo, as you know. It's really a pioneer. Sharon in the zoo and the whole community with the Tropical Education Center, they really are pioneers when it comes to conservation.
The second annual Sharon Matola Day. What we at the Belize Zoo are trying to do is to make sure that Sharon legacy live on. And her legacy is that the people who visit the zoo would be inspired to protect wildlife and their habitat.
The second annual Sharon Matola Day will feature a series of activities including free entrance to the zoo from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then later in the night there will be a gala event celebrating 40 years of existence of the Belize Zoo and Tropical Education Center. During the event, a scholarship will also be issued to a lucky candidate. Zoo Director Celso Pott explains.
We had Neo, the river otter, who reached us as an orphan, and we cared for Neo around the clock, and he got imprinted, couldn't be released back into the wild, and we recently built Neo a world-class home, and Jeff will be debuting Neo tomorrow to the Belizean public. It's free of charge, and again, it's between 8:30 and 3. What we have in the evening is celebrating 40 years of the Belize Zoo and Tropical Education Center. We're having the Wild Tales dinner, so we will have people like Jeff telling wild tales about the Belize Zoo.
I have a lot of them.
And we are also trying to find the next trailblazer in conservation. So we have identified a candidate that will be receiving the first ever Sharon Matola Conservation Scholarship. And that young lady will be joining us along with Sharon, brother and sister, to receive that award. It's up to the tune of $10,000 Belize dollars. and we will be using that towards her tuition at one of the local universities or junior college in Belize. It's a big celebration. We're looking back at the past, but we're also looking into the future, where we're heading, where the Belize Zoo is heading, and where we are leading in terms of conservation of wildlife and the natural resources of Belize.
Healthcare workers from different health regions today completed the first component of a three-part training to build their capacity to provide care to clients, particularly those who are suffering from HIV/AIDS. The National AIDS Commission and the Caribbean Vulnerable Communities Organization teamed up to provide the training. National AIDS Commission's Program Manager, Adrian Alpuche, and Executive Director, Caribbean Vulnerable Communities, Ivan Cruikshank, shared that the training also extends to human rights issues, and that's why the judiciary and law enforcers need to be a part of the training.
We work with different duty bearers, such as our healthcare workers, your police, your judicial officers, to ensure that if those rights are violated, that they are able to provide redress to them, and for those who are providing services, that they are able to provide services free of stigma and discrimination. One of the things that we also do is that, and we did it during the period of COVID, but with something that we are still looking to continue, is to provide some sort of social support grants to communities that are most vulnerable. So we do small grants to organizations that are working with the various populations, and what they would do is to identify what some of those needs.
We deal with vulnerable population when it comes to HIV and STDs, so having this training on human rights and discrimination and stigma, we noticed that these are the persons that are vulnerable to the system. So we're trying to navigate persons to be able to be comfortable going to the systems, and persons providing the services to know how to deal with these vulnerable population when encountering them. 2-day sessions with 3 different components. It's the police officers. We did that last week, and it was about 25 new persons going into the police academy. Today we are doing the healthcare workers, so it's from upper management to lower management, the deputy directors, the pharmacists, everyone dealing with clients. In 2 weeks' time, we're gonna do justice bearers, who would be the magistrate, judges, and so forth. We haven't confirmed those as yet, but we're working on it.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available at channel5belize.com, on our Facebook and on YouTube. I'm Annalyn Apollonia. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, have a happy and safe weekend. Good night.